Armchair Boogie's been at it for I think next year, about a year from now, we will hit 10 years as a band. So I think actually JamNation came out with a little statistic thing recently, and they're calling it Festival Royalty. Next year will be our 5th annual Boogie Down, and that's happening September 11th through the 13th. It keeps growing. We have band, like Wonderfunk out there, very legendary New Orleans band and stuff. Showcase on every album. We can't help but have a variety. Country's been showing up on the past couple albums too. Even more going on in that room for the Kitchen Dwellers. A little bit later, we follow up with our buddies Pert Near Sandstone. We're doing some COjam shows, Pine Creek Lodge, which is like in the middle of nowhere, and it keeps going from there. We haven't really, took our foot off the gas very much.
There he is.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Sorry about that.
No, you're good, dude. Sorry about yesterday. It's been a little bit of I honestly typically don't have this much of a issue with scheduling or anything, but sometimes life just gets in the way a little bit. Lots going on over here.
It does. No worries at all. Sorry about my broken glass incident.
It's all right.
All over the place. I got little kids. You got to clean that up.
Yeah.
As quickly and thoroughly as possible. So we made it.
How you doing, man? We're here. The worst of it's over, we hope.
So what's going on? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Just I've been home for like a couple of weeks, but I do leave on another tour a week from today. So trying to enjoy being home as well as get a lot of things done at home before I'm off to the Pacific Northwest in Montana for about 2 weeks, starting the first week of November. But that's the last, I guess, big tour of the year. But so looking forward to it. Also ready for the holidays and to be around a little bit,
Hell yeah. Enjoy that downtime while you got it.
Yeah, no doubt.
So anyone who, is listening who might not know who the hell you are, why don't you get into some of that? Armchair Boogie, based out of...
Yeah, we're out of Madison, Wisconsin. My name is Ben Majeska. I'm the acoustic guitar player. I also sing a bit in the band and take by far the most guitar solos. Yeah, man, Armchair Boogie's been at it for I think next year, about a year from now, we will hit 10 years as a band. So we've been at it for about 9 years, and of course things slowed down in 2020. Yeah, we've been on the grind. We all met going to school in central Wisconsin, going to college there. We were all playing in different bands. The banjo player and the bass player were in like an alternative rock band. I was in a funk band. Our drummer was in a surf rock band, and that was all in the Stevens Point area. And of course, we all meet here and there from playing like basement shows and stuff. And found out we had like a love of bluegrass aside from all the rock and roll and stuff. And next thing you know, I started playing acoustic guitar rather than electric and jamming with Augie, who he moved from playing guitar in his band to playing banjo. And next thing you know, we're playing duo shows. We called it Armchair Boogie. And when Augie and Eli, so Augie's the banjo player and Eli's the bass player, when their alternative rock band broke up, we kind of stole the rhythm section from that and added electric bass and drums. And yeah, from there on out, man, played mostly regional or around Wisconsin and started expanding to the greater Midwest. And now I think we played I counted it earlier this year, and it's probably changed since then, but we are at like 37 states or something like that. We played as a band, and keeps going from there. We haven't really, took our foot off the gas very much.
Hell yeah. And it's the kind of thing where you kind of can't, if you're going for it and you're serious about it, it's a grind, it's a challenge mentally, physically. You just got to keep on keeping on type of thing. And, you guys are certainly doing that. You kind of been hitting some of the festival circuit too lately, the last couple of years.
Yeah. Oh man, so much. I think actually JamBase came out with a little statistic thing recently and they're calling it festival royalty. And but now they don't track every single festival ever, but a lot of the bigger names and stuff. And I think we're included in that list for both the bluegrass bands and jam bands for like playing the most of them in 2024. So we've been all around, man. Tilbury, it was one of the most recent ones. Really fun. We have our own festival, the Boogie Down. We got to play Del Fest. We got to play Soulshine Reverie, which is the new summer camp. We've been flying all over for a lot of these things. I know, of course, there's plenty that I'm missing right off the top of my head, but over the years, been all the way down to Swanee and over to Gray Fox and out in California, and find ourselves just about everywhere on festival lineups and venues alike.
Hell yeah, and good for you guys. Back it up for a second, because you mentioned your own festival, the Boogie Down. That's out at Driftless Music Gardens, correct?
Yep, in Yuba, Wisconsin, in the rolling hills of southwestern Wisconsin. Absolutely gorgeous spot.
Yeah, and that's something, I've been meaning to reach out and talk to some of those guys because they're doing what, they're doing something special out there and in a way that I really have mad respect for, kind of, DIY, doing it all yourself and making it into a really cool thing all on their own and with friends and certainly with some help. But I've yet to make it out there. I think I actually did a little feature on it earlier in the year, something like that, probably for your festival and or what People Fest is out there too
Yeah,
with People Brothers Band. It seems like a great venue, but so how long's the Boogie Down been going on, and how long has it been at Driftless?
we just had so it's only been at Driftless, and we just had our fourth year of it this past July. Next year will be our fifth annual Boogie Down, and that's happening September 11th through the 13th. So we're moving it to September. A little later in the year should be cool. That was made that decision for a number of reasons, but it'll be kind of fun to kind of get inching towards fall, and there's been a lot of hot ones, a lot of hot boogie downs being mid July and stuff like that. So switching up next year, but yeah, we just completed our fourth year. We had it keeps growing. We had a band, like Dumpsta Funk out there, very legendary New Orleans band and stuff, and we're getting a lot of national talent through and everything. But the whole team at Driftless Music Gardens is like you said, they're pretty DIY. They've been at it for I think they've been at it over 10 years running like People Fests and stuff out there. But I know over the pandemic they were doing drive-in shows, and I think started realizing that they were really growing their crowd out there. And in the past couple of years they've really skyrocketed with getting like larger acts like Andy Frasco and Michael Franti, and Trampled by Turtles has been out there. And sometimes, it's at the festivals. Our times they'll do like a one night show where they have some giant band just headline. And their most recent exciting development is they built a permanent stage. And it is absolutely gorgeous. It's huge. And like I said, permanent. So they don't have to deal with like tearing it down, setting it up every weekend. And it's really a sight to behold and to perform on. So it's really a lot of exciting things that come together over there.
Hell yeah, and I'm excited to check it out. To see some shows out there. Just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Summers are busy. Summers are busy. Um, but so getting into just your guys' music, your guys' sound. I've been listening the last handful of days, and I've heard you guys before, but I guess I really the new. Well, maybe let's not go too deep into it. Let's start off just with the new album.
Yeah.
Where was that recorded? It sounds like, you guys have a lot of energy behind you. There's all sorts of different ways a bluegrass band can go. And first of all, the fact that you guys have a drummer, I personally like because I'm a drummer myself.
Hmm.
Nothing against the drummerless bluegrass bands. That's obviously the traditional route,
Yeah.
but it opens up a lot of doors, a lot of avenues with which for the music to travel. Um, it just sounds like you guys have kind of a wide array of eclectic sounds within your overall sound. Um,
Yeah.
it's always it's just when people come together and make music, that's just how it tends to come out, type of thing. But um, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. Is your sound anything of a conscious decision? You guys mentioned, you've had backgrounds in funk and in alternative rock and stuff like that. Are you trying to keep some of those elements, or is this just four guys getting together and that's what comes out?
Yeah, well, you said it pretty well, and the kind of, like, so the new album, I think, showcases it. And I think it's showcased on every album. We can't help but have a variety. It was never, when, like I said, when it started, it was just me on acoustic guitar and Augie on banjo. And then we were having fun and stuff, but like we wanted to add a little something more. And we hired, Eli on bass because he's a good friend and knew he played great bass. And we just kind of added a drummer. And like, there's really never anything intentional. It was never like, if we hire these two people, this would be a lineup that allows us a variety of things. We were just kind of looking to, I don't know, have a little more backing to what we were doing. I think it was kind of a little more bluegrassy at first, but quickly you realize that I can, I'm pretty funk heavy on stuff. I have a lot easier time writing that stuff and playing it than I do bluegrass. And so that's kind of always been something I brought to the table. Augie brings a lot of bluegrass tunes to the table, and then we both kind of have a folk element going on as well. And now country's been showing up on the past couple albums too. So we really enjoy, the amount that we can do with the lineup we have. Like we can do a lot of different things, and no matter what we choose, it sounds different as well. Like a funk band or like doing a funk song with acoustic guitar and banjo isn't always a common thing to do, But we make it work for whatever. It's really just kind of blended in. We're really used to it. It's kind of like you name your band name, and it feels weird to call your band Armchair Boogie for a while, and eventually it's just the thing. Eventually it's just something like when you say it or you hear it, it just kind of becomes all encapsulating. So it's really been fun. I think it keeps us entertained. I'm sure I could be in a bluegrass band, like a strict bluegrass band, a string band, and all that. But for me, I need a lot of variety, and I like a lot of rock and roll in my playing diet. So that's why I even on the acoustic, I'm slamming on the distortion pedal a whole lot. And in the studio, you'll hear like electric guitar and stuff because we have you have the studio power to do that, and might as well, add in some of those fun elements that you can't always do live as well. So.
Right. Yeah. And, speaking of, I guess that sound, combining sounds, elements of funk and elements of jam and traditional bluegrass, reminiscent of Kitchen Dwellers. And I'm sure most people know the Kitchen Dwellers because they are on a tear themselves and just kick ass. So yeah, there's a little overlap maybe in sound, but likewise in person, you guys have been hooking up with them with some shows, haven't you?
Yeah, we did. I believe we did 3 tours with them. Starting at the end of 2023, we played around the greater Midwest region, and then went into a little ski town tour in Colorado to start off this year out in like Aspen and where else, Crested Butte and places like that. And then we also did the Pacific Northwest with them. And that's a great time. We've known those guys for a very long time. It's been awesome to watch them blast off, and really inspiring to watch their team at work, how serious they take it while still having a really good time. They got a really well-oiled machine. And it's really only like the band on stage, and they got a tour manager and a light guy and a sound guy. But like when you watch their show, like a super packed show, you'd think there'd be even more going on in that room for the Kitchen Dwellers team. But they make a lot of things happen, and super inspiring sitting in with them and everything. They made sure like every night to have us on stage and stuff like that. So those guys are great. And another example of like a similar sounding band, which is probably stating the obvious, but like, we get compared a lot to Leftover Salmon, and which is obviously a very high compliment. And it was never anything we were going like, it's funny thinking back because I was aware of Leftover Salmon when Armchair formed. I loved bluegrass more than I ever played it. But when we added in drums and time went on and we get that train beat going behind us, and you kind of realize like, oh yeah, there's, plenty left over in there. It's hard to find other bands besides, like Newgrass Revival or Acoustic Syndicate that do a lot of that, like, solid bluegrass with drums. And so that's been a huge inspiration as well, kind of seeing those guys a lot more on tour. And they've really turned into some mentors and friends of ours. They had me and Augie play with them recently down in Indiana at First City Music Festival. We got to sit in with Leftover Salmon. So a lot of these things are, I looked up to all these guys, still do, but now they're all like pals and really encouraging. And, seeing someone further down the road than you is always really inspirational.
I think that's a beautiful thing and something that, the jam community really facilitates. Um, and that's something that I'm hoping, with all of this, with what we're doing right now is, I'd really like to get some of those guys on the horn. Your Vince Herman, your, I don't know. And I mean, I guess I was just talking with DJ Williams about Phil Lesh, and the way he opened his arms to, the younger generation and bringing in all sorts of different players with different ideas and creating something new. But really in a way that was kind of like I said, like a mentor kind of
Yeah,
relationship. And I think it's great when that happens. I can't wait for, the new generation. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but
yeah,
to be able to do that. And I just really find it's very heartening
yeah,
when that kind of thing happens. And I think the whole pay it forward attitude pays off. And I'm grateful for it and looking forward to the next generation of it. Um, but so, I guess with your tours, with some of the bands that we've just mentioned, one thing that I want to try and define a little bit in all of this is, region by region, city to city, how the music scenes kind of differ from one another. And, you guys traveling around the way you do, what do you see? Let's just take the Pacific Northwest, for example, because you're heading there in a few weeks,
yep,
correct?
yep.
How does something like that differ from Madison, Wisconsin? And I'd like to eventually for you to get into your open jam that you do, Majeska Mondays, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So just some of the local scenes, unpack some of that, and um, I'm really interested to highlight the differences in a constructive and positive way.
yeah, yeah. It's super cool. Like as a band that is still growing out there, we in some areas we have still a bit of work to do. You got to kind of get humbled on your first couple tours going to a new region where it's like, you're kind of back to level one again, right? Like around Wisconsin in the Midwest, we really draw very well. And our first couple tours out to like Pacific Northwest and stuff, you're kind of, like the little guy like waving your hand, like, hey, look at me, competing with whoever else is in town. But the beauty of, like a band like Kitchen Dwellers bringing us out, and we get to kind of piggyback off of what they've been building, right? So we like did this tour with them on the Pacific Northwest. A little bit later, we follow up with our buddies Pert Near Sandstone, where we're doing some co-bill shows. And now we're going out next week to do some more like headlining stuff. And the Pacific Northwest is a really sweet pocket of music lovers. Like they are there, and they look pretty hard. I feel like for shows like I feel like they pay attention to the venue listing. We played Portland a handful of months ago, and we were only a few like couple 10 something people away from selling it out. And it's kind of a trip when you only know, like 20 people in the crowd of 200 something, at the Showdown Saloon in Portland. It's like compared to, if we play in the Midwest, I feel like I know half the people there, which is kind of the person I am. I like to connect with, anyone at the shows and all that. But seeing it out, in the Pacific Northwest and feeling that same amount of like energy and excitement about new bands, these are people that are obviously paying attention and looking for, not just the big shows, not just when Billy comes through, not just when, these other big bands come through. They're like trying to check out the smaller venues, which obviously just supporting smaller venues in general is a big deal. So it's been exciting. Pacific Northwest, I can't always separate the vibe super well because like anyone at our shows always kind of seems to be like from medium to like slightly rowdy. Like they like a high energy show and stuff. In the Midwest, it's a lot of like hooting and hollering between songs. And similar in the Pacific Northwest, it's been a really fun year because we're also seeing these people we don't know singing along, right? And it's just like, okay, the words. You're not just like checking out the random show. You're like, you're singing along. You like know the music, and sometimes I wish I could ask them like how they found us, But there are strong music scenes all over. I mean, that Seattle, that Portland area. We're also going back to Montana. where we recently played at Pine Creek Lodge, which is like in the middle of nowhere in Livingston, but just people have their eyes on it, and it's packed to the gills with people from Bozeman, Missoula, people that are traveling, all across the great big state of Montana to check out this one venue. So you see a lot of folks like making the trek to come out and support, and it's a really sweet thing.
Oh yeah. And your guys' music really caters to that scene, to that vibe. Um, have you guys been out east much?
We have been. We actually just got back from a little run. We've been out east a bit. Like I said, we did Gray Fox, and we just got back from doing Raleigh, then Baltimore. Baltimore is always really good for us. We've had a really like solid time in Baltimore every time we played there. We've also gotten up into Connecticut and stuff, and yeah, out east is good. We have done certain things out east where like the vibe can sometimes feel like people want a little more like bluegrass, like without drums. Sometimes out east, which is fine. I'm personally someone that's like, we played IBMA a couple years back and had a very positive experience, but it was also interesting for certain shows. You see people kind of walk out of the room when a drummer enters on stage. They're like, I'm not here for the drums, or walk out after a song. But I'm not talking anything down on them. So many people love it out there too. Like there's more people that are open minded than not. So we have a good time out east as well. We're just currently trying to find a balance of how much try not to spread ourselves too thin. Pick the markets we want to work on, and primarily for us, we do a lot of Midwest, a lot of Colorado,
Hmm.
and then we've really been going just from there, trying to hit the Pacific Northwest, and dribbling in a little bit of the East Coast as well. But it's a great vibe out there too, man. It's different folks. They're not as rowdy as we are in the Midwest and Colorado, I'd say, but they're great listeners. They really are. And it's not that they aren't enthused about it, but you can tell they're paying attention to all the musical elements, and they're not always there to just party either.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, Midwest folk do like to party.
Yep, no doubt, no doubt.
So speaking of which, we're already getting there, man. To the end of the year, that is. You're doing, am I right about this? You're doing New Year's back home in
Yeah,
Madison?
we just announced New Year's Eve at the Majestic Theater in Madison, where we just hosted our annual Halloween show we call the Bluegrass Ball, and that was a huge turnout and everything. And it's always special to play the hometown. As you grow as an artist, it's kind of you're playing the supply and demand game, where when you first start out, you're kind of playing like your town or the surrounding towns. Maybe like every weekend or every other weekend, you're just trying to play, 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 get your stuff together, get the word out there. But it can reach a point, especially once you get like a manager and an agent, where you want to start expanding and you want to make it a really special thing. Like it doesn't happen all the time when you play in the hometown, and make those like really special events. And so we always wish we could play Madison more, but also the times we do, there's so much build up and hype about it that it always turns out to be an incredibly special night. So we were approaching like bluegrass and stuff. We were being like, hey, we kind of just want to play Madison a little more. We've laid off enough, but we kind of just want to like give some more love to like our people who are like, some of our biggest fans here, and just give them a little more like, hey, we wish we could play here more. And we're going to start doing just a little bit more stuff like in town, and just making sure to, keep watering the seeds around here as well. There's plenty of people still in Wisconsin that we could, reach and keep around as fans. So the Majestic show will be awesome. It's going to be with our buddies, them Cooley Boys as well. Another Wisconsin favorite in the Americana scene. So it should be a good one.
Yeah, good, good, good. That's awesome to hear. I'm always a little bit curious, as we all tend to, getting a little bit older. I've got some little kids, been not as closely tied to the music scene or scenes as I've previously been, which means I'm not, again, I was out in Denver for a number of years and seeing or playing live music 4, 5, 6 nights a week sometimes. That's not the case. Now it's once or twice a month I get out to see some music, and that's, I guess my whole experience or lack of experience, I'm curious to see post-pandemic with maybe a newer generation of kids, the kind of thing. I'm a 40-year-old man now, but nonetheless, I'm curious, like, is the thirst still there for overall like the jam, heavy music for the scene that has been built up and created over the past, 20, 30 years? Yeah, when I was in college, it was like you got to go out and see music as often as possible. I'm just literally, legitimately curious if that's still there.
Like for us or for the crowds?
Yes.
Like, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So,
No, for the crowds, for the crowds.
yeah, I think absolutely, man. It's really shown in like there's been some cool like newer. I still see like newer festivals pop up in like the Midwest and stuff like that, and they have like great lineups. And I hear that they're like a lot of these are well attended. There's one called Ice Dance that happens in Appleton that Feed the Dog hosts. And they just got leftover salmon on the bill, and it's like a February Wisconsin like bluegrass like hotel festival, and that thing like sells out like really quick, rooms and things like that. The boogie down is growing year by year. Our numbers in Wisconsin are growing, so it's like we see it, and maybe it's that we're obviously putting in work, and we're just as thirsty on our end. Right now we're hitting it probably harder than we ever have in 9 years of a band. And, there's been like faster years and slower years, but you got to get to a point where you got to just, keep that momentum going and just push, push, push. And, I'm pretty damn tired, and like, I'm excited to go out west, and like, could I use another 2 weeks at home? Yeah, that'd be great. But it's like, let's keep going. The music is getting more and more fire. And, yeah, I think, I can speak for a lot of scenes out there. The only time that it is a little bit of a struggle is when you go from like the festival scene to the venue scene. There's a lot of ticket sales aren't as great as they once were, kind of in general. And I've talked to some people from different levels of the bluegrass world. It can be harder to get people out for these venues, for these like these shows in the fall, winter, spring months occasionally. And sometimes that's just because like the economy and ticket prices, and people don't want to pay the fees and things like that.
Fucking
It's
fees.
it's pretty rough, man. And I really hope there's a solution for that scene, because I don't know, sometimes, even a band like us, sometimes you play in a place, you promote it as much as possible, and you still have people hit you up after the fact, be like, oh, I didn't know you were in town and stuff like that. And so the venue side, and I think it's something that kind of may start going downhill a little bit after COVID, even though like live music is back. I think some certain people got out of a routine, but of course these festival lineups and stuff is what a lot of people I think have their eyes on. But I
Right.
encourage anyone out there listening to like, just make a little habit, just like you do scroll on social media. Most of us do every day. It's like check some of those local venue listings. See like those band names that you might not have heard of. Like give them a look up. You never know when you're gonna see as people like to say, like the next Billy Strings or whatever. It's like there's always someone out there that's doing it, that's gonna be that person next or something like that. And it's cool to be a part of that from the get-go.
100%. And yeah, that's where I was coming from. I certainly encourage anyone all the time to just try and discover new music. Don't just see the band that you already love, and by all means do. Don't get me wrong there, but to check out when you discover a new band, it's like a really special feeling, especially you get in like in that on that ground floor, and you discovered them type of thing, and you get to tell your
Yeah.
friends. I don't know, it's a really cool thing. So I do hope people make the effort to do exactly that. But I was going to say, I also wonder, you mentioned the festivals, and there have been so many festivals now, like it's kind of crazy. And I do wonder
Yeah.
if the venue shows, the ticket sales from those shows maybe suffer because there are so many festivals now, which, quote unquote, have more to offer, more bands, more art, more whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wonder what's the solution there, or is it just to encourage people to get off their ass and, and check out
Yeah.
some of these local shows.
I mean, it's we're all there with I mean, not to bring up like the economy again, but it's obviously a factor. Things are pretty pricey as is.
Hmm.
And a lot of people I think are saving their money to maybe spend a bit more and go to a festival. I think I've also had talks with people and like Billy Strings is such a great thing to happen to bluegrass, right? He's turned so many people onto it, but we're just like I always kind of like wondering like if there's a trickle down from that, or do people just kind of like stay at that level where they're going to the big shows, right? And like maybe they're not looking, a little further down the line and stuff like that. And but you can't really always put a finger on exactly why it is. That's just kind of one like little theory I have, that people, save up for the bigger things and don't buy the smaller tickets and stuff. But even that being said, we just had a solid weekend, playing around Madison and Minneapolis, and we had some great tickets out in Baltimore, and we're going to probably see some good turnouts in the Pacific Northwest. But that's kind of more of a result of like, years of grinding out there, right? Like we've been building, right? But in new cities, sometimes it can be that's when you really see it, where it's like, it's a Wednesday night, of course, and you got to play it out on tour, and that's when you might not see the people you want, even though that if everyone in that city was even lightly aware of what music magic was happening that night, you'd be sold out. It's
Right.
just and also just in the world of social media, man, there's just everyone's posting all the time, everything
Right.
every day, and like if you can't get on that train, which I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't like that when we started like 9 years ago. I could use a picture every day and it would get, all the likes in the world, and it didn't matter. Nowadays it's like reels or nothing, reels are the algorithms don't favor you. And I think
Yeah.
that does have a play with the a general awareness too. You're trying to, like I said earlier, like the little person like waving their hand, hey, look over here. You can spend, and even with reels, you can spend an hour making one you think's the best thing ever. And then, like algorithms don't show it unless you sponsor it. And then you take one quick little video and it blows up. You're like, I don't even know, dude. I just keep trying to post. And sometimes it works really good. And, but we are confident in our craft and the path we're on and everything, but there are just, like this is what every musician feels, whether they talk about it or not, and some people might like frown and be like, "Don't, you gotta act like you're like the best at this and everything." It's like, no, it's a tough world out there sometimes, man. It's like it's a challenge, and that's why we want people to keep their eye on things.
For sure. Yeah. You hate to put the responsibility, or too much responsibility anyways, on the listener, on the fans, but there's kind of only so much a band can do, especially since the band wants to focus on their goddamn craft, not
Yeah,
not
sure.
on social media reels and boosted posts and stupid
Yeah.
shit like that.
And that's why we got so much love for the people that do make it out, and we know there's plenty of people that would make it out that just might not be aware, and it's just trying to play the game and try and keep in mind, like or try and keep your finger on the pulse of the ever changing battlefield of social media and stuff like that. And but it can get exhausting, man, trying to just be in front of a camera all the time, be in front of people all the time when you're driving and this and that. And but it's also it's really I still love it. I wouldn't change anything for the world. I love all this stuff, right? But it
For
is
sure.
crazy how much has to happen not on stage for things to keep taking off. It's like it's not just about playing a killer show. You gotta film that cool solo moment and make sure that gets out there and things like that, which we're getting in great habits about that stuff too. So it's all fun. You just got to get used to it, right?
So, do you guys travel with any sort of crew, whether it's a music production crew or anyone who whether it's friends, girlfriends doing social media kind of stuff for you, or is it all kind of in-house?
No, it's pretty much in house at the moment. We are in cahoots about like getting a trailer for the 15 passenger van, which opens up a little bit more room in the van where we can talk about sound person, stuff like that, where we're lightly shopping around, deciding whether or not it's like a tour manager, a sound person, and what's most valuable. And no matter what, you kind of need someone that can wear multiple hats. to justify, also like to pay that, you're paying someone. But so at the moment it's us four, and but we do, we have a lot of people, friends that are photographers in cities we go to, or friends that are coming out to shows that I'm always happy to just be like, hey, remind them, like if something's getting like hot on stage, a jam or something, like, just film a little bit of that, then they send it to you. And like, those are just great ways to kind of, like just kind of keep building your arsenal of materials to post and everything. Cause truly in any given show, I think we have so many heater moments that, that are like that, you can only capture so much through the cell phone, right? But that's what people like to see, the live stuff. And we're also like hoping to get on Nugs soon and stuff like that, showcase the live stuff, and there's so much that goes into it, man. You could work 24 hours a day on this stuff and still, have stuff to do, from social media to merch to,
Right.
all these online things too.
So I guess one more thing I really wanted to talk to you about was, I think I already made mention, but your open jam,
Yeah.
Majeska Mondays, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
where does that take place? What's it look like on any given night?
Yeah,
And
so Majeska Mondays take place the first Monday of every month. So it's only once a month, and it's at the Up North Bar here in Madison, Wisconsin, a really sweet down home bar where a lot of music lovers and a lot of the community of music lovers here in Madison hang out. They got a lot of live music, and but basically the nature of it, it's not quite an open jam. I basically will hand pick musicians from either like Madison or Milwaukee or all around Wisconsin, sometimes the greater Midwest, and I'll form a one night only band and so it's kind of like a super group pairing, and it might be like a bluegrass night, or it might be a funk night, or it might be a country night, or we might like do a tribute to like the Meters or something, and do like or Pink Floyd and things like that. But a lot of times people don't even meet each other until the day of show. Like, so we have about, I'll solidify a month out who I'm going to have play. And I make sure 2 to 3 weeks out from the show, we have a list of at least 20 songs for everyone to learn. So everyone has to do their homework individually. And we only have one rehearsal, which is the day of show. And it's like 2 p.m. at my house. We have a little rehearsal. We kind of just quick run songs and be like, here's how it's going to start, here's how it's going to end. And we assume there's going to be, a bunch of solos in there and stuff. But it's pretty like, quick chop chop, like, because we have the show is from about 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. So we meet up, kind of just, run through some songs, talk about it. And then that night we play 2 sets of music to a pretty packed bar room. It's always a really good turnout. People know what to expect, and that's, or they don't know what to expect, right? They know it's going to be like a thrown together something. And that's kind of the magic of it too. We only have one rehearsal, but everyone has to be really, attentive, listening to each other, looking at each other, because this isn't a band that plays ever and might never play again, so everyone really has to be on their toes. And a lot of times some really sweet magic moments come out of that. So that's the majority of the times that I have Majeska Mondays. But also occasionally I might host like a band that's touring through town and needs a good Monday night show and in front of a good crowd in Madison. Whether they played here before or not, we can get them a solid turnout. And then I just kind of join the band on guitar, learn their songs, and I might lead a few tunes that I sing myself. But yeah, it's pretty much a once a month, and I'm about to do the 56th one. So I've been at it. It had it not been for COVID, I'd probably be in like the later 60s or something. But I've been doing it for about 6 years as of this next November. So it's been, so it's been adding up, and I've always said that I'll do at least 100 of them when I get to it, which is still a couple of years away. You're only doing 12 a year, right? But I'm gonna do at least 100 of them. After that, I'm not sure, but it's a pretty incredible thing. It's kind of like my brainchild and my pride and joy, and an incredible outlet for me to have music homework, every month, and to always be challenged to lead a band and piece people together. But it's also everyone's welcome to contribute. it's not just me being like, here's the songs we're playing. I like leave it open with some suggestions, and it's really an incredible collaborative effort.
Oh yeah, man. And it sounds like a great way to network as well. And you know, whether or not, I guess as a musician, everyone's a little bit of a promoter. Whether you're, you know, by definition doing exactly that is open for debate, I suppose. But nonetheless, I think that's a really cool thing that you do. And bringing together, you know, members of the community. You said, you know, it doesn't have to be local. It's not right necessarily in town, but or even in Wisconsin, but all the Midwest. So I think that's fucking cool.
Yeah, man, it's a really unique thing, and I'm really proud of it and the turnout. And you know, my friends at the Up North Bar have kind of, when I first moved to Madison, I heard about that bar being where a lot of great music went down, so I just started hanging out. Next thing you know, some of the musicians performing there caught wind of me playing guitar, so they asked me to, you know, sit in and stuff. So it's kind of like a gradual getting to know the scene a little bit. And eventually I was making enough appearances there just as a sit-in artist where Teresa, who's the lead singer of the People Brothers band, she bartends there and books all the music. And she and her husband John Hardy had the idea. They're like, well, how about we just this one act that did the first Monday of every month is no longer doing that. We're like, we'd like to, you know, give it to you, and you can, I don't know, call it Majeska Mondays or something. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. I'm like, do I have to play like solo or what? And they're like, you can do whatever you want with it. And it quickly just turned into me just, you know, having my master plan of just, you know, using it as an opportunity to do whatever the heck I want with whoever I want. And it's caught on great in the city. So
You gotta love that freedom
yeah,
to
it's
do it.
fun, man. It's a lot of work, you know. It is a lot of work, you know, a lot of music learning and a lot of, you know, making sure we're all on the same page, but it's a labor of love for sure. I wouldn't change it for the world, you know.
Is the Up North Bar a place previously where Armchair Boogie cut their teeth?
No, no, we moved to town as Armchair, but we were always, it's not the biggest place. We always kind of focus on playing venues with Armchair, like bigger venues, High Noon Saloon, and all that. I
Mhm.
don't even know what the capacity is in up north. I just know it's packed for all these, and but we actually did an Armchair Boogie. We did a mystery band for a Majeska Monday this past August, and it was Armchair Boogie, but I made sure it was and it was one of the ones because it was warmer out. We were able to do it outside in the parking lot, which gave us a lot more room. And I knew word would get out. I purposefully told some people to, you know, be whistleblowers, and
Yeah, of course.
sure enough, it was a really big turnout because of that and stuff. So yeah, man, it's a really cool thing. And I brought my band like Wonderfunk onto it a couple times to showcase that. And but yeah, this next one I'm about to have a bunch of Wisconsin bluegrass legends like Art Stevenson and Dale Reichert on it. They're two guys that have been around the scene for a long time, as well as one of Bill Monroe's very own bass players from the 80s. His name's Mark Hembry, and he lives in Economilloc, and he even wrote a book about his years with Bill Monroe. But I had this lineup last year, and it was just so cool to play with people that had, you know, been in Bill Monroe's band and be playing traditional bluegrass with them. It's like a huge honor, you know.
And you said another one of those lineups is forthcoming?
Yeah, that's coming up literally less than a week on November 4th.
Okay. Okay.
So
Good to
pretty
know.
excited about that one. That's coming right up, and yeah, and but I don't plan out very ahead. I do one, and then the next day I think about what I want the next month to be, because kind of is how my brain works these days.
Yeah, all good, all good. And you just mentioned Wonderfunk. Is that just more of a local side project type of thing for you, or what? Yeah, because I think I know some of the cats in that band, but
Yeah, it's kind of come on the last couple of years. So it's led by me and my buddy Trevor Northstill. I grew up in Fond du Lac with him, and he's an incredible vocalist. And I just always wanted a band where I could just more play electric guitar and let someone be the lead singer, and you know, take a lot of solos. And so we are the two main people in the band. Besides that, it's kind of a rotating cast because I have to often wait until the Armchair calendar fills in to book my own side project dates. the nature of that, sometimes I'm kind of booking within close proximity to the actual show. So it would be hard to kind of maintain the exact same lineup. We got kind of like two guys per instrument, like two different drummers we go between depending on who's available. Same with bass, same with keyboard players, and that's kind of the nature of that. But we've been selling really good tickets. It's we do really well in Madison, Milwaukee. We just played one of our first festival plays out of state at First City, and so that's been fun to have that as well.
Hell yeah.
We got an EP coming out soon too. We got to figure out when, but we got a whole EP recorded we're pretty proud of. So keep an eye out for that.
With Wonderfunk?
Yep.
Excellent. Hell yeah. So yeah, I guess bringing it full circle back to Armchair Boogie. As we already mentioned, you've got some dates out west forthcoming. You just kind of put out a new album, which reminded the name is Hard Work and
Hard Times. Yeah, it's Hard Times and Deadlines.
Ah, there it is. There it is.
We're out here all alone. This big old world is our only home. What do you do if you find yourself lost? You can find a friend, you can find a bucket, you can find a piece of wood and just chuck it if you're real lucky. You can find a soul. So you look for a woman or you look for a man, look for a dog or some soul to plan to get out of this mess. You sat yourself down in. Get yourself a chicken and get yourself a goat, get yourself a riverboat, go float, then you'll find a little peace of mind. With hard times, deadlines, push me through till the good times. Got a cheap old car, empty bottle of gin. Someday I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna fill up and sip on my cup, 'cause goddamn we gotta push on through till late. Well, the world seems fucked, but I'm doing fine. This will all be out in a matter of time. But time ain't matter, as a matter of fact. So what the hell am I gonna do with that? Yeah, I wanna go fast, but I don't wanna die, I wanna go slow. Ooh, but baby, I'll find just another way to head on down the line. Well, the hard times, deadlines, push me through till the good times. Got a cheap old car, empty bottle again. Someday I'm gonna wake up, gonna fill up and sip on my cup, 'cause goddamn we gotta push on through till May. Well, the hard times, deadlines, push me through till the good times. Got a cheap old car, and she runs on gin. Someday I'm gonna wake up, gonna fill up and sip on my cup, 'cause goddamn we gotta push on through till May. I said goddamn we gotta push on through till May.
I gave that a listen just yesterday, probably. Sounds great. I mean, really, it sounds great. And I love I was gonna say loose nature of it, by which I only mean not the playing or anything like that, but I don't know. I'm a big fan of Harry Nilsson, if you know Harry Nilsson, back in the late 60s, early 70s and stuff. And he was never afraid to just let people know that he's recording and just kind of have fun in the recording process. And it sounds, you guys too, a little bit. You know, you're not afraid to just keep some of the silliness, that a band will just display in the recording process. Some might need everything to be really, really polished, and it's like, nah, fuck it, that's funny, or just whatever. So, but the tunes are awesome. It sounds fantastic. But yeah, I mean, where else can anyone find Armchair? It looks like armchairboogie.com. All your standard socials, probably / or at Armchair Boogie.
Yeah, we got, yep. So it's armchairboogiemusic.com. And you'll find all our tour dates on there and everything. I will say that, being the Colorado thing here, we're going to be out in December. It looks like Wednesday, December 4th, we're in Durango at the Anima City Theater. Thursday, December 5th, we're in Colorado Springs at Lulu's downtown. That might actually be Manitou Springs, one or the other. But then the 6th, we're at Cervantes Masterpiece Ballroom, and that's going to be a super fun one. But that's going to be our next little kind of run out in Colorado, which we're stoked about. So, but yeah, besides that, Instagram at Armchair Boogie Boys, just Armchair Boogie on Facebook. But we're always keeping those socials up to date, and but definitely your best bet if you're trying to keep up with all the insane amount of dates we have is just keeping an eye on the website there.
Yeah, and I'm hoping everybody takes heed and puts in a little bit of effort to find not only you guys but new bands. Go check out that band you haven't heard of before, or at the very least, you're looking at your favorite venue's concert calendar, some name you don't recognize. I'm hoping people just Google it, plug it into socials, and see what they're all about, and go see some music you haven't seen or heard of before, because there's, like you said, the next big thing is out there, and just want to encourage people to do that. So with that, Ben Majeska, Armchair Boogie, that's all I got for you, man.
Great to chat with you, buddy. Happy to make it happen, and thanks for taking the time, buddy. It means a lot.
Back at you. Have a good one.
All right, thank you.